What do you make of this?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? This was a row that we were talking about on this very show before Christmas, after the docuseries have aired. And you may recall, if you got this far in the series, about sort of 30 seconds in, or a couple of minutes in at least, there was an image flashed up that said that the royal family had been contacted for comment, and they had declined to comment, essentially. And this created a row within minutes of this, eagerly anticipated series airing, because according to Buckingham Palace, they were contacted for comment, but it was by a third party, not by Netflix, not by Archwell, which is the production company of Harry and Meghan that was involved in the making of it. And somehow, somewhere, communication has clearly broken down. Buckingham Palace claimed they went to both Archwell and to Netflix to try and get some more information. They received nothing back, and therefore they say they weren't given the opportunity to comment. But here we have Liz Garber speaking in an interview to Vanity Fair saying, well, all of this is just a big attempt to discredit the docuseries. I mean, frankly, the docuseries is out. It's had a huge impact. For me, rather than reinventing that old row, this story in The Sun, which I picked up this morning, I think is really interesting. They have done... Newsweek. They picked up a Newsweek magazine poll. This is an American magazine, and they are taking the temperature of Americans' feelings towards Harry and Meghan. And in the past month, public opinion in support of Harry has dropped 45 points in the States, while Meghan's has dropped 36 points. And according to this Newsweek survey, almost half of the Americans, 44%, said that Harry was wrong in his autobiography to be relaying private conversations with family members. So I think you're getting the sense that even in America, where it's been very, very supportive of Harry and Meghan, the tide is now turning, and perhaps they need to move on from these rows with directors in the palace, rows over the autobiography, and actually get on with what they said they were going to do in the States, which was some good philanthropic work.
Although, of course, with the coronation not very far in the distance, we're going to be hearing more from them, aren't we, and seeing more from them, whether they're invited or not invited, and all their views on that as well.
Yeah, it's a story game to rumble
Some
on.
happier royal news now. Princess Eugenie and her husband, Jack Brooksbank, they've announced their second child.
Yes, on Instagram. And I do love this about Eugenie. I think she is a thoroughly fresh, modern... I'm going to say bit part royal, because she's not a full-time working royal. When she needs to step up to the occasion, she does. But no, she's doing what Charles has envisaged for members of the royal family that aren't in direct succession to the throne, having a career, having a family, having an ordinary life. And so they've announced that they're having a second baby. Not a huge surprise. Their little boy August has just turned 2. And she's also said in this interview that he is going to be an eco-warrior from the moment he celebrates his second birthday. Well, she's obviously got a genius for a child, but she's ticking all the right boxes.
To be fair, I mean, a lot of the royals are eco-warriors. It would just be following in the footsteps.
It is of her grandfather, exactly.
Even Prince William with the Earth shots. And I mean, lots of people want to jump on that bandwagon of saying, "Oh, not an activist," but that's kind of what the royals do, isn't it?
It is what the royals do, and I like the refreshing approach to royalty that she's doing. I think it's great.
Her mum, Sarah, Duchess of York, she has said it was granny heaven to her. Now, Sarah can comment. What about her dad, Andrew? I mean, does being ruled out of public life exclude him from commenting on this sort of thing? I mean, that seems quite cruel if it does.
It doesn't, but he has been airbrushed out of key family moments. And if you think back to her sister Beatrice's wedding, there was no official picture of Andrew. I think the risk with bringing Andrew in any capacity, even a happy story like this, Eamon, is that it then reignites everything else that comes with the Andrew story. And of course, it's only days since we had reports that he's going to challenge that £3 million settlement
what do you
paid to Virginia Giuffre-Roberts.
Would he be wise to challenge this, or could he challenge this?
I think... Listen, from a human side of things, of course, if you've been accused of doing something you haven't, you want to fight back. I do understand that. But I think for the image of the royal family, as Isabel, you were just saying, we're on the eve of a coronation, to suddenly put all of this out into the public domain, my personal feeling is it can only be hugely damaging.
And I suppose if you really want to prove your innocence, you take the witness box, don't you? And
which he never did.
Absolutely no way Buckingham Palace would want to see that, because every time he speaks, he makes it worse, as we saw with Emily Maitlis.
Absolutely. And, he said he would make himself available to the FBI, that he was willing to be questioned, he'd lay everything out on the table, but that never happened. This just feels too late. You know, he's used part of his inheritance from the Queen to pay off this settlement. I think he just needs to slip into the background quietly. And to be honest, even if he was to go through all of these steps, the idea that he's coming back into royal life, it's not going to happen.